Hi, my name's Ryan. I've been a supporter of Paul's for many years now. I wish to get the podcast and video creation part of the system we call Paul back up to full speed. And I think Patreon support is a big part of that system. Go over to patreon.com/Paul Wheaton. Make a pledge for each artifact that Paul creates. Again, the site is patreon.com/Paul Wheaton. You can also find the link in the podcast notes. Enjoy the podcast.
All right, I think it's working. You see the numbers counting down? It's counting. I'm just going to put this like here, and I hope that it works.
It will.
Okay. All right, so I'm here with Nick in Spokane, Washington, and we're going to do a potluck a little later today, and we were talking about some stuff, and Nick, you said like you've listened to all of my podcasts.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
I would say, but just realistically, 90%.
Sure. Okay. Cool. So we were talking about some stuff, and because the way the conversation went, it's like, oh, maybe I didn't put this into a podcast yet, and I should put this into a podcast. But let's talk about. In order to talk about earwigs. Because you had a little earwig trap out here, and I've never seen that before, and it was mighty clever. And so I wanna tell a story first about earwigs. And so and by the way, I should say, so here we are in Spokane, Washington. I used to live on Mount Spokane, just like 45 minutes north of Spokane, and I had 80 acres up there, and So I'm a little bit familiar with the area, but we went to a park yesterday. It was, I never knew that park was there, but you grew up next to that park, so you're really...
I grew up in the park.
And so, kind of like my side of the mountain, but inside of this...
Manitou Park.
Yeah, it's a big park, and it was... there's a lot of beautiful stuff in there I never even knew existed in Spokane. So to kind of give you an idea of how disconnected from the city of Spokane I was. But I come here every 8 weeks. So maybe if the potluck today goes well, maybe we'll do it again. I don't know. But all right.
It's going to go well. Positive thinking.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about it. So earwigs. When I was, I'm going to say 17 or 18, I lived on my bicycle, and I would travel hundreds of miles on my bicycle, and I had a route that I did many times between different family members, and I had a little tent, and I would camp. And so I remember this one time I stopped at the place. It was like an RV park and tent place. And so I paid for a patch of grass, and I pitched my little tent, and my little tent kind of had it was small but very breathable. It was like it looked like a little bump on the ground. It was designed to be very wind tolerant, but it had a fly on the top to keep the rain out, and then it kind of had this like screen underneath it so you could roll up the fly and look at the stars if you wanted to. But I always just deployed the fly. It was kind of built in. And all right, so I'm on my bicycle, and I stop. I deploy my tent. I get into this tiny tent. I don't think it's even a 2-man tent. It might be a 1.5-man tent. It's pretty tiny. And I go to sleep. And in the morning, it's kind of like, or I shouldn't say in the morning. I woke up and I was like, I felt like, why is the sun not out? Yeah, you know where this is going already. Why is it still dark? I feel like I'm all done sleeping. And as I rolled over to check the time, I bumped the side of this tiny tent, and it got suddenly light. So it was solid earwigs. It was like 10 million earwigs. Because it had rained in the night. And the earwigs wanted a place to go be dry. So the earwigs went under my fly, but above my little...
In between.
The only thing between me and millions of earwigs was the screen.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It was. And so I ended up bumping the sides a lot to get them to kind of go off of, so I could open up the tent to get out. But it was, it was.
You never forget a moment like that.
That was a powerful moment. So when you were over here and you put out, you took a newspaper, you wet it, you set it on the ground, and you were explaining to me, I have problems with earwigs. And I read this, and I'm trying it out, and sure enough, there's like your wet newspaper kind of rolled up a little bit in a certain shape. You kind of made a little tent shape. You took the wet newspaper and you made a tent shape, and you set it out, and sure enough,
I like that.
Like 12 earwigs in the tent. 12, and then you're like, diatomaceous earth, motherfuckers! Like that. You didn't say the magic words, but
I did.
But there was. Oh, did you?
Inside.
Inside. Okay. All right. But there was diatomaceous earth deployed, and then and they rue the day that they visited your tent, and so we got to talking about it, and it's like. Because you're kind of like, well, what's the permaculture way here? And I mean, like, I think some people might think that that's the permaculture way is, okay, you took some newspaper that you happen to have lying around, you wet it a little bit and fold it, did a little origami, make it into a tent shape.
Well, I'm like, then what? Then what do I do with the newspaper? What do I do? Do I squish them all off? What am I supposed to do with them, How do I dispatch?
Well, you have chickens.
They don't like the earwigs. Mine don't, at least.
Because the earwigs are too spicy.
I think yeah.
Yeah, something about the earwigs just doesn't taste as good as you might like. Or as a chicken, you're like, that's not the flavor I want.
They give them an eye. They give them the stink eye.
Okay, all right, fair. So it's like, and I do think that the conventional approach to earwigs is, I want to get a teeny tiny machine gun, and then try to do my best Arnold Schwarzenegger voice impression while using the tiny machine gun on the earwigs. And that is how I will solve this problem.
I'll be back. That's what I say to them, and then I forget to go back.
Oh, okay. Die, you little fucker!
Diatomaceous earth.
So then it's kind of like, okay, how can I do the Terminator on 12 earwigs? But permaculture-like. And so I think that the next step is going to be like, okay, how do I do it organically? So I'm going to, rather than hosing them down with, earwigicide.
The Northwest Seed and Pat store here, a garden store, they tell me use Sluggo, and then there's other stuff, which is just iron or something, but
all right,
I don't know.
All right, and so
what do I do?
And of course, so the organic way is like, you might it could be Sluggo. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no to the Sluggo myself. I'm going to say please no. And then the diatomaceous earth. I think it's always good to have diatomaceous earth around in a 50-pound sack, and it's like standing by, ready to be deployed for whatever your needs are. And it's kind of like, so, and that's what you did, diatomaceous earth. But I want to go past that. I want to go way past that. And I want to be like, okay, so you got earwigs, and you want to not have earwigs, and it's like, if I put my tent from when I was 17 years old, if I set it up in your backyard, and if I slept in that tent overnight, my guess is I would have 25 earwigs. Like I have harvested your earwigs on a larger scale than your little tent did. Mm-hmm. And it's like, but 25 is like much less than the 10 million or whatever I had, when I was 17. We're all good. We're on a. So it's kind of like, okay, you've got some earwigs you'd rather not have. They are part of nature, and as permaculture, we're going to try to we're going to try to develop a more symbiotic relationship with nature, so that you can be even lazier. And it's like, all right, the little tent worked. You put down a bunch of diatomaceous earth. I think you probably didn't put down near enough, but maybe you pissed them off. You let them know that it's on, motherfucker. And so we're at war now. And hey, I'll grant you, earwigs are creepy little shits, and it's like, I've never been a fan of earwigs. I'm never like, oh look, an earwig, how precious. I've never been like that. I've always, and maybe it has to do with that event when I was 17, like Okay, so I'm not a fan. I get it. Let's get him. Let's have less earwigs. So I kind of like how Sepp Holzer's approach to this is like, okay, you got a plant, and it is absolutely, it's so infested with aphids. By weight, it's probably more aphid than plant. Like, that's millions of aphids on one plant, and it's like, oh man, that, and you could step in. You could get instant green thumb. You just take your thumb and you start running it up and down the leaves and the stems, and your thumb gets green with the goo from all the aphids. As you are destroying them all, you are conquering the aphids. But of course, if you've got 80 acres worth of these plants, that's going to be a long day, and that's going to be a lot of aphid goo. And then you're going to come back the next day, and they've doubled in number somehow. How the hell did they do that? You just killed billions of aphids, and now they've got 2 billion? What the hell? Okay. So, basically what Sepp Holzer is saying is, instead of going after this symptom, which is the aphids, or in this case, the earwig, to that basically where you see a bunch of aphids and you don't want a bunch of aphids, it's like step one, let nature take its course. It's like, you suck at permaculture design. Embrace your suck. And be like, my design right here is total shit. So, I don't know, do you have aphids over the entire yard, or is it just here?
Earwigs?
Earwigs, I'm sorry, yeah, earwigs.
Earwigs are in every corner, and you know what the issue is? They're eating the garden, and they're all over the leaf. If you go at night, every gardener should do this. Especially if you like horror movies, go out at night with a little flashlight and just do a little tour of your garden. Peek under the leaves, really get down. Maybe just sleep out there and just, you just keep your eyes open. But it is the freak show. I mean, the earwigs are all over the leaves. You really figure out what's going on if you go out at nighttime.
Okay, so you have a double lot.
They're out front, they're out back, they're in the sides. Now they're tunneling under. They've colonized the place.
All right.
Quite happy. And, they get in the corn. That's why they call it earwigs, right? They eat the ears of the corn.
Right. They don't eat the ears of the people. They don't crawl into your ears and eat your brain.
That's what my daughter thinks.
Yeah.
No matter what I tell her.
Yeah. And just be clear, it's about eating ears of corn.
They're in her water bottle. She drank a sip of water, and one was in her mouth. And they got down in the straw of her water bottle in the house. So now we have them in the house, too. And she's like, Dad, did you put an earwig in my water bottle? I'm like, geez, what do you think? A horrible human being? Think your dad put an earwig in your water bottle?
I think the response to that is, I did not, but now that you've suggested that to me, I think I won't be able to stop myself doing that every day from now on.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think I need to do that just for the comedy of it. So, I'm going to go collect earwigs for this new path of humor that you've put in my head. Thanks for bringing that up. This is going to be hilarious.
Just like a solid bottle just full of earwigs.
Okay. So let's talk about, let's talk about pests in general. And you have observed something. There are all of your property, front yard, backyard, the chicken lot.
I'm guessing they go into the neighbor's yard once in a while too.
Oh yeah. And they were at that place. They got to that place where I had pitched my tent, which is actually hundreds of miles away from here.
I don't know how they made it.
So this might be their breeding, but I kind of think like, okay, my tent had millions, tens of millions.
Thousands.
Something like that. It was so much, it blotted out the sun on a sunny day. Okay? That was a lot. And I think that they were a good inch thick, too. It wasn't just enough. It was so thick with earwigs that it blotted out the sun on a sunny morning. Okay. And then this morning you had 12. So I think you're doing less than that place I was at. And there's reasons. There's good reasons for that. But I think we're going to do some observation real quick. And it's kind of like, you've been here a while, many decades. Is that fair to say decades you've been here?
Yeah.
Okay. At this house.
8 years.
8 years at this house.
Yeah.
And the amount of earwigs that you see now is less than the total number of earwigs that you saw your first year here.
The first year we had about the same level of earwig problems, or population, we'll say, and then it lessened, and then it balanced out or whatever.
Okay.
And now it's back again to bad 8 year ago levels.
Oh, okay. That's good information. So there is a cyclic thing going on. And as part of the cyclic thing, then, and I think that this is normal for any kind of pest problem, all pest problems for all situations, they go up and down. And, but I think if we do a good job doing permaculture stuff, it'll eventually level out. And so you'll have a giant spike, and then the things that like to eat earwigs show up.
Mm-hmm.
And
what
then
likes to eat earwigs?
Well, does it matter?
Well, I'm just curious.
I'm curious too.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I mean, like, you start studying entomology, it's like, boy, there's a lot of different kinds of insects.
Yeah.
But something out there, surely, because you've had ups and downs.
Yeah.
Something was eating the earwigs. Fair?
Yeah, or the population,
froze out in the wintertime, and then they didn't breed as thoroughly or something like that.
Didn't make it through a harsh winter and, or a hot summer.
Right. But the important thing is that the earwigs are making your gardens sad.
They eat the roots too,
Yeah.
People say, the earwigs and the roly-polies, they only eat decaying plant matter. And I'm like, well, I literally watched them eat all of my seedlings. They love the fresh seedling sprouts, so they can't grow anything from seed in the ground because the bugs will just come and eat it. And they were like, thanks for the delicious seedling right at the right at its point where it's about to start growing its true leaves. We'll just gobble this up right now. And then they laugh and walk away and wipe their mouths off.
Yeah.
And then you just increase their population 10 times too, because you just fed them really well. So anyway, that's what they've been doing. They eat, and then they eat the roots too. Even though there's plenty of decaying matter for them to eat.
Okay. So, Sepulcher's thing is that if you don't want there to be these whatever your pest is, whatever your problem is, you need to improve your permaculture design. And so it's like if your plants are getting wiped out, it's because you suck. And then if you have earwigs, then the thing about the earwigs is that they're part of nature. They're here to correct your mistakes. So you made some kind of dumbass mistake, and then so nature sent in a crew of earwigs to fix it. So we're going to work. What we want is to have a design that keeps earwigs, that has earwigs in the design. Further, I'm going to go out on a limb and say something finds earwigs to be delicious and tasty and yummy, and I don't know what that is, and that's fine. I'm going to sidestep that, and but we have observed that sometimes there's less of them, and sometimes there's more of them. And normally with permaculture, what's going to happen is that you're going to have a big spike because the things that eat earwigs have, like, they went on vacation that year, and then they show up and gobble them all up and be like, this restaurant is the best. And so then the next year or later, another time, there's like no earwigs at all. So then all the predators leave and go do something else, and then the earwigs come back. And so this is a cycle. But eventually, if we can do things in such a way that we keep a supply of earwigs on hand, then those earwig predators stick around. And then they're eating earwigs so much that you rarely see an earwig. You'll have earwigs, but you'll have less. And then wherever you've done a great job with permaculture design, that spot will generally not have any earwigs because they're all about 20 feet over to the left, chomping away at something else. And it's kind of like, all right. So what we want is earwig predator habitat. And the difficult part is we don't know what it is that likes to eat earwigs, but something that eats insects. So a couple of different things that I think about is, like, as I'm looking here, I mean, this is clearly like a yard where the kids play. And you've got another plot over there that is your gardens and chickens area, and I haven't looked at that yet. But right here, I'm kind of thinking like it's challenging for soil to do its soil thing. Like this, I can see it looks like at some point somebody put some gravel down over there. That looks like dirt because people are walking on it so much, and it looks like the grass doesn't get enough of a chance to ever be mown.
And we don't have to mow this grass. It's really nice.
Yeah.
It just stays at like 2 inches.
Because, probably kid traffic dominantly.
Well, yeah, it's clay, and then there's a Norway maple, and has shallow roots, and it's just, not happy.
Okay, all right. So, the soil does not look like a rich soil.
That's dirt. It's not soil.
There you go. Yeah. And so, as I'm sitting here thinking about like what to do and stuff. Now, granted, there's a lot of people that are permaculture people. They're like, I think they call it food, not lawns. Some of them call it fuck lawns. And I'm a person that thinks lawns are great because lawns are where the kids play. Lawns are where we have potlucks.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've got Potluck scheduled for 6 different cities over the next couple of months. And so I'm going to be going around and hitting all these potlucks. But all right. It's where you do your yard sale. It's where you have your picnic table. There's a picnic table. I see one. And it's where you live. There's a lot of life to be had on a lawn.
Not this lawn.
Well, I mean, like there's human life.
Yes.
Going on.
It's also aesthetically pleasant.
Yeah.
It's just an enjoyable, pleasant thing. But yeah, lawn has never grown well here.
And so I love the idea of talking about how we can make a beautiful lawn. And I think that if you have rich soil and a beautiful lawn, it is plausible that that's going to contribute to mitigating your concerns about earwigs. But let's go a step further, because they're everywhere. Your front garden is very permaculture. I haven't seen the side garden yet, but your front garden, I did as I entered the house yesterday. I did a lot of pointing and whining about how I'd want you to change everything, although it's looking really glorious. What a glorious front lawn!
It's wild. It's a wild place, like the Wild West here.
It is. It has a strong start, and of course I want things to be different. But okay.
Hi, this is Mark. There are a lot of reasons to get angry these days, but I prefer to focus on the positive things that we each can do to make this world a better place. The book, Building a Better World in Your Backyard, Instead of Being Angry at Bad Guys, is a great resource for just that. Instead of throwing my arms up in frustration at governments or big corporations, there's a list of ideas that we each can tackle to affect change. Information about this book and other resources can be found at permies.com.
I want to start off by suggesting that nowhere on your property is there a brush pile. Is that accurate? I mean,
plenty of brush piles. Yes,
there are brush piles.
Oh, yes.
And so I don't see any.
They're out of purview, out of general view.
All right. So like I'm pointing at an area there. And it's where it looks like there's a whole lot of leaves and other debris underneath a maple tree, and it's like there could be a brush pile made there that wouldn't be too obtrusive, and it would be, I'm going to suggest, 7 feet tall, 7 feet wide, a pretty good sized brush pile. And the reason why I'm suggesting this is the idea that if it got to be like 3 years old, then whatever it is that likes to eat earwigs might set up camp inside of that brush pile. And there might be like 7 different kinds of things that like to eat earwigs. And they'll be a permanent presence. So that's one thing. Another thing is that, of course, what I want to do is not only improve the soil here for your lawn and that kind of a thing, but I want to put in a hugelkulture or two to be a place where it collects all kinds of woody debris as different kinds of mulches, as well as whatever goes on the inside, and maybe this huge glorious garden, and blah blah blah. But I also kind of think that it might also, while it would be a perfect habitat, in fact, this is kind of what Sepp Holzer says, is that he says, do you have a problem with rodents? Like rodents that want to get into your, and when I remember him talking about it, he was specifically mentioning, it was while he was talking about his root cellar. And someone asked, what happens if you start getting rodents in your root cellar? And he says, then what I do is I put out a lot of food for the rodents, and I put out a lot of habitat for the rodents, and then I don't have any rodents. And it's like, what? That's like the opposite. And it's like, I know. And so then he explained that that the rodent predators are constantly looking for places that are good rodent habitat. And then and it's like if they find a place with a lot of good rodent habitat, that's where they kind of like, I'm gonna move here and live here permanently. I don't know if I ever shared. Here's another story I have. I don't know if I ever shared the story, but when I was a young fellow getting started in software engineering, there's a place in Missoula where I worked as a software engineer, and which I know that sounds really weird, but it really happened. And one day, after being there for many months, the bunch of the software engineers that were there said, "Hey, let's go out for lunch." And I said, "Oh, okay. I'll go with you to lunch." And so they said, "Have you ever eaten Greek food?" And I said, "No, I've never." So we went to a Greek restaurant, and I had my first ever gyro, and I loved it so much that at lunch I had a second one, and then I went back and had another one for dinner, and I ate there every lunch and dinner for a week. So, 7 days a week. And then after a week, I moved so I could be closer to the restaurant. And I continued to eat there every lunch and dinner for years. All right. So, boy, it turns out I really like Greek food. So, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to say, like, make habitat for the earwigs. And
so I need to get more gyros here. Is that what you're saying? I need to start making more gyros?
But, tiny ones. Really tiny. So rather than a teeny tiny machine gun...
That's sort of what the newspaper is. It's like a newspaper gyro.
Yeah, sure. And then in time, the things that think that the earwigs are yummy show up. But they kind of need a place to move into also.
So I need more tiny Pauls that have never had Greek food before?
You know what? I think you're getting it. I think it's all starting to come together. Really what you need is diversity. And of course...
Bug hotels, diversity. If you build it, they will come.
There's a bit of that. Of course, you have a challenge in that
rock piles.
There's kids here, and it's like, it's difficult to build a lot of soil with giant amounts of traffic on this. And
the thing I like about that, permaculture is it's like we were always talking about edges, right? I mean,
yes.
And this is like one thing that like people are like, in cities, like, well, there's always little pockets behind garages and the corners of your lawn, behind a hedge. You can make a pile of brush and leaves and just leave it in there, and even make a little sign that says, "Don't move this brush pile. Leave it here. It's for some little bug hotels," And a lot of times people are like, "What? Bug hotels? Squish it all. Get rid of it," It's like, that's actually a good thing, right? I mean, there's plenty of places for that here, but maybe not enough. So, that's a good point.
Which, another great line along this is that you took me to that giant park yesterday. Manitou Park. And you're like, ooh, let's go look at the Scottish garden. They have a Scottish garden here. It's so great. You're gonna love it.
I didn't say you're gonna love it. I said,
oh, okay.
It is aesthetically beautiful in a man-made, control-free way.
Oh, did you say that?
I thought that.
You thought that? Okay. So we got there, and did I love it? So I did the same thing I did when I got to your house. I did a lot of pointing and whining and then we talked about how
when you got down in it, you liked it a little bit, a tiny bit, I think. Certain parts of it, the fountain.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. But how many brush piles did they have in the Scottish Gardens?
0.
0. It was we did a thorough counting, and we counted twice just to make sure. 0. How many monocrops did they have?
How many monocrops?
Yeah, like, oh, this flower is yellow. This is yellow flower right here.
Well, to be fair, they're getting a lot better at that park. There's a lot more permaculture people now on the city staff, and they're rewilding a lot of the park. You know, there's progress being made, and we also saw a lot of weeds, which, you know, they used to use a lot of weed killer and stuff there.
That's true.
Now it's all people power.
That was
out
a
there
good
the other day, and there was a girl weeding by hand.
Yeah, so we saw like where they had this very manicured garden, and I was making estimates at how many people were probably involved in keeping it manicured. I mean, it was to have it look this way was going to take a lot of work, and I'm not quite sure why they call it a Scottish garden.
I call it a Scottish. That's my own terminology.
Oh, okay.
I think it's just a formal English garden.
Okay. Yeah, it
United
is a
Kingdom, UK garden.
So
no brush piles though. They do need more of those.
They probably have earwigs. They probably have a lot of earwigs. And they're probably worried about what to do about all the earwigs. And they probably bring in 40 people with teeny tiny machine guns and hunt the earwigs one at a time. They probably have Arnold Schwarzenegger voice stuff, impersonation training to go along with it. Yeah. So, but I mean, it had an aesthetic, and it's an aesthetic I've seen many times. And it's like there's been a lot of farms and gardens where people are like, "Oh, Paul Wheaton, come to my house and praise me for my amazing gardens." And then I do the point and whine thing. And they're like, "Get the fuck off of my property. I'm sick of hearing from you. You're stupid." And so it is a different school of thought. And it's like, or at least my school of thought is a different school of thought from the school of thought being practiced over there. And so, you know, they're going to find people who have a similar school of thought, and they're going to pat each other on the back and be like, "Damn, this is good. This is so good. It's good. It's so good. Oh, thank you. Yours is so good too. You're great. Oh no, you're great." They're going to do a lot of that. They're going to be like, and then they don't want to hear from the likes of me. So, I would love to see something, and of course I want to do something that's going to be more food production-y. I'm going to, and not only that, but very polyculture-y. And I kind of feel like Sepp Holzer's whole thing about like, okay, here's a plant that if you were to weigh it, it's more aphid than plant. And so clearly I designed this space wrong. Because I don't want to, it's not like I'm sitting here like, well, you know what would be good for dinner tonight is aphids. You know, I wish I grew something.
What's the nutritional value on aphids, though?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's like, what is it? A lot of protein? I imagine it's a lot of carbohydrate because aphids are mostly sugar, right? So, anyway, I think that it's like, okay, I planted some stuff here. Maybe it'll sort itself out. Maybe if I just do nothing and walk away, maybe I come back in 5 years. And it'll have sorted itself out. And stuff will grow here that does well here, and Mother Nature will have taken out the things that were not a good fit for here. But I mean, that's good for like when you have acres, and he has 110 acres. Whereas here you have a double urban lot. It's tight.
Third of an acre.
Okay, a third of an acre. And so it's going to be tough to do that, and plus you're using a fair bit of real estate out of your third of an acre for children to destroy. Play. Yeah,
I think the children are probably really good, like soil makers. You just see all the mud pies being built. And my daughter made a little rocket stove in her play kitchen that she actually wants to make into a real rocket stove, rocket cooktop.
Oh, that is cool. That is super rocking.
I've been working on it.
I mean, of course, what I want to do is transform your backyard where the kids are to be something where they can continue to play. Let's make the grass be more like grass. Like let's have the lawn be so happy that you're going to have to actually think of how you're going to mow it, because the kids are tripping because it's gotten so tall and lush and thick. But I also like the idea of like, hey kids, go outside and play, and then it's like later you try to say, do you want some lunch? And I will make you the lunch. And instead they're like, oh no, we've been eating all the food that's out here. We're grazing on the food that's already here in our play area. And so I don't want anything else. Stop bothering me with your weird food pushery. You know, that thing. It's like, one less thing to do. The kids fed themselves.
That is my vision for the streets too. You know, like I heard someone say kids never used to go hungry in the summertime. You didn't have to worry about it because they would just walk down the streets and just eat, just gorge themselves on fruit. On the sidewalk. Yeah. On the sidewalk, climbing up in trees, and they just stuff themselves. And now, you know, all the cities have banned all the fruit trees.
Well, now, okay, so this tree right here that I'm looking at is clearly a maple. And were you saying earlier it's a Norway maple?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, those things, they have a lot of sugar in them in the spring.
Oh, really?
You can tap it. And this is such a giant maple tree. It probably has, and I don't know about your kids, but other kids I've seen, they love sugar. Oh, they love it. And when I was young, we used to eat something called a maple bar. I don't know if they even make those anymore. But I don't know. And we're pretty close to Canada right here. And isn't maple, isn't that what they feed the Canadians?
Only maple.
And then there could be, I don't know, pancakes or something. I don't know. But you could just take maple syrup and just pour it into a child, right? Hey, and did you ever see the movie Elf?
Is there sugar in that syrup?
Yeah. So that's one thing, is you got this giant, beautiful maple, and it's like, all right, that's got there's a lot of sugar there just waiting to be tapped.
You can see the nuthatches up there right now eating bugs off of the bark.
Oh, eating bugs, you say?
Yeah.
A kind of bug that's not an earwig.
I don't know what's up there all over the tree, but there must be tiny little teensy-weensy bugs they're eating.
So.
And lichen. I think they eat the lichen.
Okay, so we're trying to talk about earwigs.
Yeah, we got to wrap up our earwig conversation.
And I kind of feel like the thing I want to do is to say, do all the things to make more earwigs, because that'll bring in the things that like to eat earwigs. But it doesn't hurt to also make some earwig predator habitat. I don't know about the pile of rocks and the earwigs.
That's the snake.
And that's for controlling slugs, which here in Spokane you don't have too much trouble with slugs. So, but I would think that a brush pile would be good, and sure, a pile of rocks wouldn't hurt. And but of course, you got such limited real estate, it's tempting to not do those things.
Kids like rock piles too, you know.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Right.
They get in there between the rocks?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't know. It shows how little I know about kids. So,
you think back, way back when you were a kid, think about spend a lot of time on rock piles.
So, in fact, I just want to make a quick. We haven't recorded a podcast in a while, so it's kind of like. So I think it was 2 days ago. We up at my place, we were making a lot of jam. We made apricot jam with some cherries in it. We made cherry jam with some plums in it. and then we put a whole lot of plums and apricots into the solar food dehydrators. But we had a 12-year-old that was there, and he was pitting cherries. He turned out to be better at pitting cherries than all the rest of us. And so it's like, wow, that was good. And I keep getting people asking me about, like, are kids allowed? And it's kind of like, I think having kids out is great. But in the boot camp, we've kind of drawn a line at 12 and up because the history. And we've had some kids that are like 8 or 9 that were just terrific, but we've also had a lot of kids that are 8 or 9 that are like kids that are 8 or 9. And it's like, easily distracted by shiny objects, powerful need to play. All of the kittens need a name and to be pet thoroughly, which, by the way, we currently have a bunch of kittens that don't have names. And so I imagine, are they going to show them and call them Blackie? I don't know. But there's good stuff. We've had a lot of great kids out doing great things, and it's worked out really well. But all right, back to earwigs. I think I want to put out so brush piles, rock piles, improve the soil, put hugelkulture in, add diversity, lots and lots and lots of diversity. And I think that's another thing too, is like, let's suppose that, like, right here, you've got this dirt-like substance, and then over there you're going to have a hugelkulture with incredibly rich soil through and through, and lots of diversity. My guess is that the earwigs are going to be uninterested. I mean, we'll have earwig habitat galore over there, and all kinds of stuff for them to eat. But oftentimes earwigs are not interested in plants that are extremely happy. And if they are getting plenty of nutrient from the soil, and the soil is a rich soil, and they're getting nutrient from a mycelium network providing a root exit exchange in the polyculture, then the plant will be so strong that I think that your earwig won't even notice that it exists. Like, somehow it becomes invisible to the earwig. But if there's a plant that's distressed, or there's decaying matter or something like that, I believe then the earwig takes an interest. It's kind of like the plant that gets covered in aphids. It was probably a little distressed, and probably a little sad, and then the aphids come in to be part of Mother Nature, to be like, hey, buddy, you fucked it all up, but don't worry, we're here to fix it. Mother Nature sent us. We're part of the Mother Nature team. We're on it. We're going to take this out. Nobody will know what a fucking loser you are at this. Okay? We'll grow something else here. All right? All right, we got some other stuff. Seeds right here. We're going to get them going. We're going to grow those instead. All right?
It's going to happen on a time scale that you're not happy about. Like next year it'll be better.
That's how Mother Nature works. And that
5 years it'll be better.
That kind of leads to the whole thing of, like, maybe you just walk away, let Mother Nature do its thing, and you come back and there'll be something else. And it'll be better, and it'll be something that you like. And
give us a couple thousand years. things will be better then.
There is a bit of that. But of course, if you give it more love, if you lean into it. But it does seem like, okay, that was a cool thing that you did. I didn't know that about earwigs. The little wet newspaper tent, and you got like 12 earwigs. Look at that. And now I can fix my earwig problems 12 earwigs at a time. Now, of course, you could expand production. You could do 100 earwig tents.
Well, that's why I'm having the party today, actually. The potluck is really... We're going to be making newspaper traps.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. I'm going to hand out some, I'm going to give away some of my skip books at the potluck. And I also brought sunchoke tubers and walking onions. You know, like the top, I don't know if you have walking onions, but the top of the walking onions have like a dozen little onions trying to get started. I brought a bunch of those. And so Stephen packed them up for me and put them in my rig.
Thanks, Stephen.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. And so I'm all set. But, all right, the thing is like, if you're going to try to combat the earwigs by making hundreds, it sounds like a lot of work to me. And they could probably make new earwigs faster than you can take them out. So, I don't know. It sounds like, I mean, it's very Arnold Schwarzenegger of you, you know, going after them, like, you know, getting rid of them that way. That is great. That is, boy, that it does feed that need to be in war and clearly have a death toll that's like, I've killed so many, I must be winning this war, but they're going to outbreed you. So it's like, I think different strategies are called for. Plus, I don't know, I like the idea of being 100 times lazier than that. So like, what can I do? So I don't know. I like the idea of coming up with a whole bunch of things right where we're sitting, so that we have, like, as I'm looking around in this yard, this particular yard, it's like, how do we get food production up by a factor of 100, especially things that kids could eat, like they could self-harvest. You don't even have to harvest this. The kids will harvest it themselves, and then they'll come into the house and their face will be covered with a variety of colors. And then you'll say, you want me to make you a sandwich? No. Have you been eating the fruit outside? Don't want to talk about it. Oh yeah, the expression on your face is, I'm a little too close to the truth.
But don't you want all this food from the store? It's amazing.
They want cookies and chocolate bars from the store, I believe. You always pick the stupid stuff. So, but if it's right here, it's like you could have the grapes and the cherries and the apricots and the apples. Right now, raspberries. I always kind of feel like raspberries are a great comedy food for children as they learn about what are thorns.
The cactuses, too, you know, they really like. I try to get them to eat the cactuses.
Oh, really?
The prickly pears, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Edible.
So, and at the same time, simultaneously, making it so you no longer care about earwigs. I mean, they are creepy as hell. I'll give you that. But eventually, there'll be so much good food and so much good stuff growing everywhere. I wonder what the relationship is between walking onions and earwigs. It seems like most things, for some reason, don't like onions as much. I don't remember seeing a lot of. I guess maybe I'm just lucky, and that I don't have. But like right now, our sunchokes and walking onions are so prolific that it's like, and then of course, you know, the fruit and everything. But the walking onions and sunchokes are so prolific at our place, and you do nothing. Like, I'll hand this out. Somebody will take a bit of sunchoke and a bit of walking onions home, and they'll stick it in the ground, and then they'll forget about it. And 4 years later, they'll come back, and they'll be like, there's enough walking onions and sunchokes growing in my backyard to provide half of my caloric needs for the rest of my life. So it's not, I'm not saying just eat those two things, but I'm saying, like, at least now you're, like, you don't have to have the money to buy food. You could just eat this. And whatever it is that you buy is going to be tastier. But we could talk about, you know, I think there has to be a transition from, like, what do you like to eat that's easy to grow, which is, what do you like to eat that's easy and cheap to buy, and it's cheap to buy because it's so subsidized, I mean, like right now, donuts are like a magical fruit from the grocery store because they taste so damn good and they're so cheap. But the grain and the sugar and so many of the different bits and bobs are just massively subsidized. Corn chips and salsa. I mean, I've canned hundreds of jars of salsa, and so that is delightful. But I also kind of think like, I think corn chips are a thing where it's like, that's a lot of work. But I mean, like, you could grow field corn and then do all the work. You got to harvest it at roughly the right time, and then there's a lot of grindy grind that needs to happen.
Well, hopefully you don't have an earwig problem.
That's right.
They'll eat your ears right off your corn.
Which we rarely find an earwig in our corn that we've been growing right now. But all right. Anything else about earwigs? Have we covered it?
I think we have addressed the problems. Can you eat earwigs? Is the main question. Maybe we just have to go right to the heart of things and just start eating
earwigs. I've never tried it. Somehow I'm just not jazzed about the idea. I'm just not thinking like, oh, those look like something I want to put in my pie hole.
They say if the birds don't eat it, then people shouldn't eat it either.
Oh, maybe that's true too. All right, so here we are. We're trying out this device on my phone. I don't know if it worked worth a damn, but okay. If you like this sort of thing, come on out to the forums at permies.com, where we talk about bugs and homesteading and permaculture all the time.
Put Paul's brain on your plot. Do you have a hunk of land but don't know where to start? Do you have a world-changing permaculture idea and you need some feedback? Do you feel like the guy in overalls may inexplicably hold the keys to all your wildest permaculture and homesteading dreams? Well, you're probably wrong. But if you want to give it a go anyway, you can hire Paul for a consultation. He will be all yours for a whole entire hour. Schedule your Paulversation today at permies.com/consult. permies.com/consult.